Hi guys, welcome to the week 6 video lesson for group piano 4. So for this week's assignment, just like in previous weeks, your technique is to do the full technique routine for the key of A, and that video is attached separately. And so jumping into the items that we have for our unit this week, we are in Unit 18, and so this is all about, so the previous units have been talking about modulation to the dominant and subdominant, and now we're doing sort of the next most common areas to modulate, which are to the relative major and relative minor. So at the top of page 228, we have a chord progression that shows a common modulation to the relative minor. So we've got 1, 5, 7, 1, 6 switch pivots to 1 in the minor key, 4, 5, 1, and then you would just go through and play that in G, F, D, and B flat, any other keys that you want to play, and that will help really prepare you for the harmonizations that we have coming up. And then we have a chord progression where we modulate from the minor to the relative major. So we start in A minor, 1, 5, 7, 1 stitch, but it just turns into a 6, 6 in the major key, 2, 6, 1, 6, 4, 5, 7, 1, and then you would just try that starting in a variety of minor keys. So starting at E minor, D minor, B minor, G minor, etc. So these are very functional chord progressions, especially these modulating from major to minor. You know, there's a lot of ways that you can turn these into some great vocal warm-up exercises or things like this, and it's a great way to experiment, I think, with functional harmony. So again, I know it can be really easy to skip over these items that aren't part of your assignment, but, you know, maybe even just pick one key or two keys to try to play, and it really will help you to explore, you know, how these chord progressions work in a variety of keys. Just get a little bit more familiar with that, and it's going to be a lot easier when you recognize these chord progressions in choral music or band scores or the solo reps that we have in this book. So doing these and getting yourself familiar will just help increase your musical vocabulary and make things a lot easier for you. Same thing with practicing these diminished seventh arpeggios. Definitely something good to go over, a good exercise for building facility and strength in your fingers. So for the solo rep, we'll be doing scherzo. This one is a really popular one. This would be an option for the 10-week exam. So I'm going to go ahead and do this one through. I'm not going to do the repeats because if you do, this one gets just ridiculously long. But one of the most important things with this one is, first of all, to have a lot of freedom in your right hand and feel really confident on your starting pitches in each of the new hand positions. So like, especially starting in measure 9. You really have to be able to move freely to execute those kinds of passages. And in the beginning, you need your left hand to be really... If you try to just go like, you know, with flat fingers or whatever, it's just not gonna sound good. It's gonna be hard. It's gonna be a lot easier to have, you know, missed notes and things. You can also practice, you know, these transitions between chords. That I'll do all the time, you know, or over on page, or like from measure 27 to 28. That can be just a good way to practice to make sure that those transitions are really clean. The trio section is definitely, again, like we've talked about with lots of things, worth making sure that you can play without really looking too much at your left hand, because you want to be able to find those chords in the right hand easily. So here we'll go from the beginning, and this one is really great. It's allegro or allegretto, but you can go a little bit slower than I'll go here. go. So some tricky passage work with the fingers there that you'll definitely want to make sure that you're playing the correct finger numbers. And this one is really fun and a really satisfying final product when you get through it. So some technique exercises over here, some more to just kind of build your awareness of the keyboard. So again, these exercises are always really helpful to practice finding those chords on the piano easily. Same thing here. And then you would go doing the same thing. Triads of the key. Again, if you can find these exercises really easily, there's like the opposite of it is over here. Those are just really, again, helpful patterns to be able to identify on the piano using the chords. And then we also have some contrary motion scales. So these are always just really good things to maybe look at as a little warm-up or something to help build your technique in an area that is maybe a little bit weak. So then you will choose from one of the 4 reading exercises that we have here and play one of these for your video assignment this week. So I'll just go ahead and play through all 4 and you pick which one you want to play for the video. Here's number 1. Modulation to minor there. Here we have Etude number 2. And then here we have number 3, Spanish Dance. And then we have number 4. And then we'll move on, and we have 4 harmonization options: Sailor Song, Roses from the South, Fur-Elise, and Blow the Man Down. So I'm going to do the one that I think, I don't know, I'm going to do the one I think that most of you guys would want to choose, which is Fur-Elise, because it's so pretty and it's so popular, and every time, you know, there's like a piano at like an airport or outside of a coffee shop or something, somebody's going to sit down and play Fur-Elise, or that song, 1,000 Miles, the or they're gonna play Moonlight Sonata. Those are like the options of what, or there's a couple of popular songs that people will play on those public pianos. I'm not gonna talk about how I feel about that, but I do really think that Fur-Elise is very beautiful. This one is challenging, but you know, the chords are not too complicated, but the melody is a little bit more complicated. So if we were going to do this one, again, I'll just kind of go through the procedure. I'm just going to play in the original key the chords. So we've got A minor, E major, A minor, no chord, A minor, E major, and I'm going to skip the repeat here. We would go to C, G7, A minor, E minor, A, E, A, E, A. So you can see just how simple that is. I mean, really, other than it's just A and E, other than that C and G that are in the middle. Then we'll play through the melody. Keeping fingers really curved here is super important, flexible wrist, and really paying attention to those accidentals. skipping the repeat. And then we'll go ahead and play both hands together in the original key. And I'm skipping the repeats again. So now we're going to go on to G minor and we'll look at the chords. The chords are the easy part here. So the A minor is going to become G minor, D, G, D, G, D. Now, when we get to the middle section there, C is going to become B flat, and then G7 is going to become F7. And then we go back to G, D, G minor, D, and that's really it. So where we're going to spend most of our time is thinking about the melody. So let's play through the melody in G very slowly. So again, it's kind of that don't let yourself play a wrong note. Focus on your starting pitches. So clearly when we see something, you know, like this, in measure 2, the end of measure 2, that's so clearly like an A6 chord right there, it's going to become G6, G minor 6. And so just focusing on those chord structures is going to be helpful. So let's play this through nice and slowly. Focusing on the intervals. Flats. So starting in measure 10, to be honest, I feel like one of the easiest things to do there is a lot of times it's easier to just follow the intervals, think solfege, whatever. For me personally, when I get there, I start thinking about that it's just a step down. That's what I do. I'm thinking, okay, well, that's a G, so that's going to become an F, so that's kind of how I think about it there. I do use a little bit more of just kind of focusing on the notes being a step down. That helps me to get through that section a little bit more easily. So let's go ahead and give it a try, both hands together in the transposition. That's it. So I do think that one is really pretty. I think it's worth the little bit of extra pastoral work that it takes to get it done. But I do think it really is beautiful, and again, definitely worth your time. So, but you could choose any of the other ones and just follow the same procedure that we just did.